So it's been a long time. It's been a long time since I've done anything sharpening related on here. Hopefully you guys can see this. I really don't have a good spot to put this camera. Maybe like that. So it's been a long time. A couple things I want to say is thank you to the few hundred subscribers I have. I appreciate it. This was never meant to be a big channel. It was just for fun. Glad to see Jeff Joel is still crushing it on YouTube. One thing, I really haven't been sharpening much over the past couple years. All my videos are quite old. They were when I was first getting into this. And one of the reasons is I'll try to flash in some images. My fingers and hands, my fingernails were wavy, my hands looked like zombie flesh. And I couldn't figure out why. I took steroid cream, all that stuff, and it actually turns out that it was the sharpening slurry that was destroying my hands, and I could never sharpen with gloves on. So, after I quit sharpening, my hands, they're a little dirty right now, but they look very normal. Okay, most of the waviness in my nails are gone. There's still a little bit left on that one, but it was affecting my cuticles, everything. My hands were falling apart from sharpening slurry, so I really don't do it that often. And quite honestly, if I got to do a knife, like a pocket knife especially, I just go straight to the Edge Pro or the Edge Pro Professional. Anyway, let's use two stones. One of them I really like. This is Nano Super, and yes, this is the old Super variant. I have the new sharpening series, or whatever they call them. 5K Super, and then a stone that I really want to like, but I don't. And that's a Chaucer 1K. I had the Chaucer 1, 5, and 400. 1K, 5K, and 400. 400 is still running strong. The 5K started to crack within about a couple months of using it. It cracked to the point where the whole stone just fell apart. And I did everything in the book to take care of it. And then this stone, right here, this 1K, started to crack. This stone started to crack, so for fun, I sent it to Ken Schwartz, and I had him round it for me, because I do a lot of razors, and I wanted to try rounded stones. And what I've kind of started to do, I'm sure you can tell here, is I've tried to re-flatten it. So just the top is flat right now, and you can see where it's rounded on the ends. The whole stone was round, and it's kind of a cool thing for razors, but I kind of want to use the stone again. It sat out to dry completely for like a couple years, and what I'm doing to see if we can prevent the cracking is I'm using only distilled or deionized water on the stone, and so far I haven't seen any micro cracks. It's completely reabsorbed water. These really are not splash and go stones. I know they're labeled as splash and go and they can be used as such, but really they aren't. They do absorb a lot of water, especially when they're completely dry. Alright, so let's get into it. Here's the knife. It's this old, I don't even remember what this is anymore. It's a Murata or Mizuki, it's a Kawasaki. I don't even remember. I really don't buy knives anymore. I've sold a lot of my blades. I kind of moved away from this hobby and went into razors and then moved away from that. I'd like to get back into it though. I still appreciate you all commenting. Every now and then I get a subscriber, and that's nice of you guys, and I know you guys want to see sharpening. So, this knife is not exactly dull. It has a pretty rough edge on it. Alright. But let's see if I can make a cut paper or something. Man, this is just not a good spot to have a camera. That was always my problem too. Alright, so we got some distilled water on there. My biggest problem was always figuring out what to do on the other side of the blade. Never really got this stroke down too well. I've had some success switching hands, but I never got it where I'm totally comfortable, especially with a big rounded knife. I did a video on that. This side I can do this side with my eyes closed. That side is no problem, it's this side. So this is the side I can do with my eyes closed, and I can do fast, and I'll get a really consistent edge on this side of the knife. Okay, and I have to just stay in the center of the stone because the outsides are rounded. There we go. Really consistent flat bevel for freehand. Alright, no problem. So, what method should I try? I will try just turning it over and doing kind of the Western method. Still water on the stone. Alright, so find that angle. To find the angle is very simple. If you don't already know, you set the knife down, you lift it up a little bit, and then you start pushing and lifting until you feel it bite, and then you pull back down a little bit after it bites. This is the way I always used to do it. And the problem is really the tip. I can get the knife perfectly sharp from here to there on this side, but it's that last like fifth of the knife that I have a problem with. Okay, get a little tip, really light pressure. Okay, we'll switch back. Okay, so we got something going here. I can definitely feel there's a bit of an edge on there. See again, the very tip of the tip is sliding, and that's my problem. I seem to constantly make my tip wider and wider. I just cannot hold an angle on this side. It's always been my issue. Now, when you first get into sharpening, what you're going to consider sharp and well sharpened at the time is going to be very different from way later in your life. You know, your concept of sharp and sharpened is going to change. And I used to think I could sharpen pretty well. Honestly, I think I suck at sharpening. But we all suck, right? Alright, I'll be right back with some paper. I have a pretty bad boil on my leg right now. And if you get like those really bad, I don't know if you ever had like a carbuncle, I get them all the time. And it kind of makes you feel ill, so I'm not feeling real good right now. So anyway, we got some paper here. It's not newsprint, but they are pretty thin little sheets of notepad paper. Alright, generally between each stone I will actually take this to a hanging linen strap and just whip some of the burr off it and kind of straighten out the edge. I have a feeling this is not going to cut very well. It doesn't feel very straight. But this is off just a quick shot in the 1K. Yeah, hey, it's cutting. See again, back. Oops, hanging up there, yeah. So apparently there's a part of the knife up here that isn't done or isn't straight. But see, back in my early days, I would have considered this like, oh yeah, wow, you're cutting paper already. You know what I mean? But this knife is pretty rough right now. Let's go back. We'll move over to the 5K. I've had some people comment on my old stone video, and you know, they all have a different thing to say, like, well, what's better? None of them are better or worse. Stones are entirely a personal preference. It's like guitar strings, man. You're going to like the strings you like. And the thing is, I really like Chaucer stones. And yes, this is the old, actual Chaucer stone. I really like them, but I can't recommend a stone that breaks on its own over time. I just can't do it. So that's why I tell people to stick away. Over to the old 5K Super. Love super stones. Most people hate them, especially on razors. These are fantastic. The razor community likes stones. And by the way, speaking of the razor community, I was banned from Straight Razor Place a long time ago for talking about Chaucer's cracking and Nano Super stones warping with water. They had to ban me because Straight Razor Design sells those stones. There was no reason for the ban. Now I'm seeing that Straight Razor Designs is closed down. I really wish I would have known. I would have bought some stuff while everything was 30% off, but oh well. Straight Razor Designs in place. Is Straight Razor Place still up? It must be. Straight Razor Designs is closed though. Let's do some 5K. One thing that's great about the softer stones, traditional style stones, and even super stones is the back bevel. I mean, you can really polish a big surface. So here's what that knife looks like. And I'm talking about, sorry guys, I'm talking about this area. You can really polish that surface. That's what it looks like before the 5K. And now let's see how we can polish that. So now that back edge is starting to get pretty shiny from that 5K. Yeah, so Nano with Super Stones warp with water, like particularly my 8K. Before it's wet, it'll be warped. It'll be somewhat low in the middle, and then after I get it wet, it'll be high in the middle without using it. So nano splash and go stones have problems. People refuse to admit it. They say it's my fault. It's not my fault. Alright, anyway. So let's polish up the edge with this. And oh, 5K Super. Speaking of Jeff, I sent him an old worn out 5K Super and he hated it. No, he hated it. Again, it's all personal preference. Alright, switch. Now with Superstones, you don't want to put a lot of downward pressure on a leading stroke. In fact, Superstones cut a lot better with light pressure. If you give them pressure, they will polish like crazy. I think that's why they work so well with razors. Well, as you can see, the edge itself, well, I'm never going to be able to focus this camera, but the actual edge bevel is really like mirror polishy. Alright, let me see if I can just do some burr minimalizing here. And by the way, it's like October 20 something, so hope you all have a happy Halloween. I'm doing my next water cooling loop in orange and black. Of course, I've kind of become just like orange. If you guys are into water cooling your computers or into PC modding, shoot me a personal message. I do work in a small business where we sell that stuff, and I can probably hook you up with a deal. If you're into water cooling or air cooling or cable sleeving or any of that kind of stuff, let me know. Alright, I'm actually just feeling the edge. I do feel that the edge is pushed that way a little, so we're going to come in here and just really lightly try to push it back. Okay. Feels rough. Alright. Paper. And blade. It feels a little smoother. So, I mean, it's cutting. Down here at the base, my knives are always very sharp. I can easily feather cut with that. But the problem is the tip, so let's see how terrible the tip is. It's not horrible. I mean, that's sharp enough to use, you know, but... Yeah, see if it's catching. It's definitely sharp enough to use. Sharper than it really needs to be. This is no sushi level sharpness, but... You know, and that's the thing. It's my tips. Right out at the tip. Well, it did feather cut there a little bit. But anyway, so yeah, there you go. 1K, 5K is plenty for most knives. And again, stones are a personal preference, alright? I'm very opinionated with my stuff. Again, I like traditional style stones, softer stones. I like the feedback. I like the way they I like non-splash and go stones. That's just me. Alright, well, there's your video, guys. Thanks for watching. Check this out. Look at that. That's an LED flame bulb. This is the Hudson LED flame bulb. These things are awesome. Just thought I'd show that.